Hey, this is Gary with Optimal Cruising, and we recently ran into a couple whose perfect vacation turned into a complete disaster because of one cruising mistake that could have been avoided. We're going to let you know what that was, what the couple did to try to remedy the situation, and whether or not they were successful. And we've got a top 10 list of the biggest mistakes cruisers make that could ruin your vacation. Let's get started. Number 10, skipping the travel insurance. Now, a lot of people try to avoid this expense. It can cost about 10% of your total travel costs, which is not that cheap. However, if you get sick or you have a death in the family or something else happens, a loss of job, that you need to postpone or change the dates of your cruise at the last minute, if you don't have this insurance, you're completely out of luck. Cruise lines don't care. They don't care if your mother died yesterday. They're not refunding your money. You need this type of insurance unless you're willing to take that financial risk. It can really protect you. A number of people have had their cruises ruined because they couldn't change the dates at the last minute due to some unforeseen circumstance. Now, if you check in our description below, we do have a link to one of the top travel insurance companies that'll give you a discount on the rates. You can also purchase this when you're booking your cruise through the cruise line. Although we find if you do it independently, you'll probably save some money and you can cherry pick the benefits you want. So you can get strictly insurance for recovering the cost of your trip, or you can add on certain health and medical benefits if you're worried about that during your cruise as well. Number 9, not planning shore excursions. Now, I'm not suggesting that you have to book all of your shore excursions directly with the cruise line. Far from it. There are a lot of things you can do at ports of call completely on your own, some of them completely free. If you're traveling in the Caribbean, there are a lot of ports of call. In fact, more and more are adding features right at the port. Water features, bars, restaurants, activities for kids, so that you can get off the ship and enjoy the port of call right there without going anywhere. Absolutely. Do your research ahead of time and plan out what you're gonna do, because the worst thing that can happen is that you get to the port of call, you find out from somebody else on the cruise ship that there's some great whale watching tour, and you haven't booked it in advance, and that's really what you wanna do, and now you're stuck because it's sold out. So whether you book it through the cruise line or you find a private company that will do the excursions, and there are a lot of them out there, and they will get you back to the ship on time, contrary to a popular fear out there. So don't be afraid to book with a private tour company, but do your research and plan ahead. Know what you're going to do at these ports of call so that you don't ruin your day and feel like you wasted an entire day at port. Number 8, overpacking your luggage. Now, if you are one of those travelers who had to take an airplane to get to your cruise ship, which many do, and you packed your luggage to the limit of what the airplane would allow you to bring on board without excess charges, then think about this. When you're on the cruise and you're buying souvenirs, maybe some duty-free stuff that you're gonna bring back with you, and you put that in your luggage, and then you try to check it on the way home, you're gonna be hit with excess fees because it's overweight. So make sure that when you're going on your cruise, you leave a little room for the souvenirs, for anything extra that you might pick up along the way, any shopping that you're gonna do. You want to be prepared because you don't want to ruin your vacation at the last minute by having to spend an extra few $100s that you weren't expecting to bring out of your pocket. Number 7, not checking your onboard ship account daily. One of the number one complaints we hear about is that people get hit with charges they don't recognize, or charges that are higher than what they thought they were going to be. So every time you make a purchase on board, let's say you're buying a drink at a bar, there's going to be a line on the receipt for you to add a gratuity. Now, if you've watched some of our other videos, you know you don't need to do this because a gratuity has already been added to your charge. Most cruise lines add an 18 to 20% charge to everything, every service that you buy on board. But they're still going to give you a receipt with an option to add another gratuity. You even look at that? Because if you don't fill that out, if you don't put a line through it or write 0 or give a tip if that's what you want to do, give an extra tip and total it out, you're leaving it out there for somebody else to fill it in for you. And that's not what you want to happen. We've had reports of passengers who have gotten bills at the end of their cruise where all of the totals from the drinks and services that they purchased were inflated because somebody added in tips. It wasn't them. If you're not checking your bill daily, your account daily, then you're not monitoring what's going on. At the end of the cruise, it's really hard to go back and take an accounting of everything. And you don't want to turn a great vacation into a bad memory because it ended with you paying an extra $100 or $200 more because your charges were a lot more than what you thought they were. So make sure you stay on top of that. You can easily do this on most cruise lines in their app because they have an app that you can log into your account and see everything that's being charged to your credit card. Number 6, not saving offline to your phone details about your trip before you go. Now here's what I mean. If you're not purchasing an internet package on your cruise line because they're exceedingly expensive, make sure that any documents, plans, maps, things you need for your ports of call where you're planning what to do and where you're going to go, any receipts for tickets that you've bought or excursions that you've purchased, make sure they are saved to your phone offline, meaning you don't need to connect to the internet to access that information. Because a big mistake some people make is they'll book these things and they won't have an internet package. And then once they're on the cruise ship and their port of call is tomorrow, they're trying to figure out, wait a minute, where exactly do I go? Or is there a number, do I need to call this operator when I get there? And they can't access the information. So you either get stuck having to pay for Wi-Fi on the cruise, which is the most expensive way to pay for it, or when you get to the port of call, searching around for free Wi-Fi somewhere, which is not always the easiest thing to do. Your best bet is plan ahead, so everything that you think you're going to need from your phone while you're on the cruise, download it and save it to the phone so that it is in an offline format that you can access at any time and you don't need Wi-Fi to do it. Number 5, underestimating seasickness. Now this can't be overstated. Seasickness is a real thing, and even people who think that they don't have any issues sometimes have issues when the seas change and the waves get high and the boat's rocking a bit more than usual. So make sure you plan ahead and bring some items that you might need with you, because if you're already on the ship and you don't have any of these remedies, you're going to be stuck. You're going to be sick. There's not a whole lot you can do. Cruise lines do sell certain items, but not everything. One of the things that works really well for a lot of passengers are these patches, these scopolamine patches you put behind your ear. They don't have them on cruise ships. So if you don't bring them, you're out of luck. One of the only things that works for certain passengers. Now, you can have some ginger, you can use some over-the-counter remedies, and some of those will be available on the ship. But be preemptive so you don't get sick, so that you don't have to spend part of your cruise in your room with an upset stomach, not being able to enjoy the perfect vacation. Number 4, not arriving to the city where your cruise ship is leaving from the day before. Now let's face it, most of us do not live where the cruise ship is leaving out of. And if you're flying in especially, you want to do this the day before the cruise ship leaves. I get it. It's an extra expense. It's a hotel night. But in most of these major cruise hub cities like Miami, Port Canaveral, you can find a decent hotel in the range of $100 or even a little less per night. It's not a huge expense. And the advantage is you won't miss your ship, because we have heard many stories of passengers trying to fly in the morning of the cruise and something goes wrong. Could be weather related, could be mechanical related. You don't know, but you have no control over it. And even if you booked that airfare directly from the cruise line, they may not hold the ship depending on how much of a delay it's going to be. Now, they promise they'll get you on the ship, but that's the only promise. So basically, they could leave without you and then fly you to the next port of call, which means you missed a couple days of your cruise. Now, maybe you're okay with that, but I wouldn't be. If I'm paying for a 7-night cruise, I want to be on that cruise for 7 nights. Your best bet is flying in the day before. That way you can relax, be ready to get on board when it's time to board, and have no chance of missing the ship. Number 3, not adhering to your cruise line's policies. Now, I'm all for individual liberties, but you have to keep in mind that these cruise ships have certain rules designed so that all passengers can have a good time. And if you're a smoker or a vapor, for example, make sure you follow the cruise ship policies on where you can smoke and what you can bring on board, because there are definitely limitations and rules that can get you into trouble, and you don't want to ruin your cruise just because you didn't know one of these or because you thought you could get away with it. In some cases, passengers have been kicked off cruises, banned from the cruise line, fined a lot of money for bringing on items that are prohibited. So it's worth it to know what these things are, and if you wanted to bring one on but you find out that you can't, just leave it at home. It's no big deal. So don't let that ruin your vacation. Do what you want to do, but do it within the rules of the cruise ship that you decided to sail with. Number 2, cruising in the wrong season. Now this one is tricky because some people want to cruise in certain times of year because of their vacation times or when they're off school or for various reasons. Keep in mind, if you are cruising in the Caribbean during hurricane season, which is generally from fall to the late winter months, you are going to be at risk of having your cruise interrupted. It could be shortened, you could be stuck at sea and missing many ports, you could be diverted to ports you didn't even know you were going to, and a lot of people have trouble with this. If you're the go with the flow kind of person and you don't really care, you'll probably enjoy that cruise just fine. But for a lot of people, it ruins their cruise because there's a lot of weather that goes through that area, especially during hurricane season, and it causes ships to be rerouted. Ships are not going anywhere near that, and they're going to change their itinerary. And it doesn't matter if they gave you no notice at all. They're going to do it for your safety, and you really have no recourse. Cruise lines do not give refunds. They don't give money back, even if you lost a day or two from your cruise, because it's weather related. Keep that in mind. So when you're booking your cruise, if you book during the season where the hurricanes are going to be there, you have a higher chance of having something go wrong that could upset your cruise. If you book during the spring, early summer, you're not going to have any chance of that happening, and your cruise most likely will go according to plan. And number 1, packing your travel documents or other important items in your checked baggage. Now this goes back to our couple who had their entire cruise ruined because they packed their passports in their checked baggage, sent it with the porter, expecting it to get on board with them, but they were denied boarding. And why? Because they didn't have their passports. And cruise lines will not let you board without your appropriate travel documents. And the couple had no recourse. because the cruise line's stating that it's their responsibility to have the necessary documents to get on board, and the cruise line is simply complying with federal laws. They cannot let passengers board without the appropriate travel documents that allow them to go to the countries you're going to be visiting and also to come back home. So if you don't have those actual documents with you, you will be denied boarding. The cruise line claims, and they're right, that it's stated clearly when you what documents you need to bring, and that it's your responsibility to bring those documents. But there's also other things you need to keep in mind when packing your luggage, because if you're going to get on board and want to take advantage of the pool or the sun deck and want some sunscreen, make sure you bring that with your carry-on luggage, because your checked baggage may not get to you until the evening of that first day of your cruise. And what could be worse than getting a major sunburn on the first day of your cruise and not fully being able to enjoy the rest of your vacation? So anything like that, medications that you're going to need right away, put in your carry-on bags. And prepare for the possibility, although unlikely, that your checked baggage could get lost. It's possible, not likely, but possible. So anything you absolutely must have, you need to have on your person and bring with you. Follow these tips, and I'm sure you'll have an awesome cruise vacation. So now that you know the top 10 things to avoid, which could ruin your cruise vacation, make sure you watch this next video so that you get into the right cabin to make sure your vacation is everything it should be.